Please raise your right hand. Do you promise that the testimony you are about to give will faithfully and truthfully conform to the facts and rules of this mock trial competition?
I do.
You may be seated.
May I proceed?
You may.
Please state your name for the court, spelling the last for the record.
Dr. Tracy Peterson, P-E-T-E-R-S-O-N.
What is your occupation, Dr. Peterson?
I'm a structural engineer for Sleeping Giant Shipping Company. I review all their safety, accident, and maintenance records for their company's ships, and I'm also the current president for the National Society for Chemical and Structural Engineers.
How long have you worked for Sleeping Giant Shipping Company?
It's been about 8 years now.
And what is your educational background?
I went to school at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. That's where I got my bachelor's, as well as my PhD in chemical and structural engineering.
Your Honor, I now offer Dr. Tracy Peterson as an expert in chemical and structural engineering.
Any objection?
None, Your Honor.
Okay, witness may testify as an expert in that area.
So, Dr. Peterson, are you familiar with the ship, the Edmund Fitzgerald?
Of course. Because it's my job to review all the records for the company's ships, I have a lot of experience with the Fitzgerald.
Can you please tell us a little bit about the Fitzgerald?
The Fitzgerald really was a wonderful ship. She was in the height of her technology, recently converted from coal to oil, and she was built to very rigorous safety standards. These standards were, of course, maintained throughout her sea life.
When was the last time that you saw the Fitzgerald?
I actually saw the Fitzgerald right before she left port. I observed the crew load the ship on the docks.
Why were you watching the crew load the ship?
I wanted to make sure that the crew was moving at a correct pace and maintaining the machines properly. I had received a report that said the Fitzgerald had sustained some minor damages, and I wanted to make sure it was the crew who was responsible for these damages.
Has the Fitzgerald sustained minor damages like these before?
Yes. It's actually surprising the Fitzgerald was in such a good condition given her age.
Are damages like these common, Dr. Peterson?
Of course. It's actually surprising again that the Fitzgerald's, It's surprising that Fitzgerald sustained so few damages. It was a large ship, and Lake Superior is very large and very rough. It's very common to get a few dents and scratches here and there.
And were these damages that the Fitzgerald had sustained previously, were they repaired?
Yes. Sleeping Giant Shipping spares no expenses in making sure its ships are up to date and seaworthy.
So, Dr. Peterson, what, if anything, did you observe while you were watching the crew load the ship?
I saw that the crew did a wonderful job in ensuring that the taconite was loaded properly. With a cargo like taconite, it's important to make sure that the ship is loaded evenly, so it doesn't tilt from side to side while out in the water.
Was the taconite loaded properly?
Yes, the crew did a very good job ensuring that the cargo was loaded properly, nor were there any damages reported during the loading process. I also noticed they did a very good job ensuring the freeboard limit.
Could you please explain what the freeboard limit is?
Of course. The freeboard limit is basically how low the ship can sit in the water. With more cargo loaded, the ship's going to sit lower, and with less, it sits higher. The limit is basically a limit to the amount of space between the top of the water and the top of the deck.
What is Sleeping Giant Shipping Company's freeboard limit?
Our freeboard limit is currently set at 13 feet. The U.S. Coast Guard's limit is actually only 11.5 feet, but it's company policy to maintain a level 1.5 feet above this.
What does this 1.5 foot difference mean for the safety of the ship?
Well, it means that it's even safer than required by the U.S. Coast Guard. When you load less cargo onto the ship, there's less weight, and that puts less strain onto the structure of the ship.
Dr. Peterson, when the ship left port, was there anything that you observed that would jeopardize the safety of the ship?
Absolutely not. The cargo was loaded properly, the freeboard limit was measured correctly, and everything met regulations.
Did the U.S. Coast Guard have an opinion as to the seaworthiness of the ship?
Yes, they did. They sent us a letter on November 6th, and it indicated that while the Fitzgerald had some minor damages, it was completely seaworthy to finish its November shipping season.
So, Dr. Peterson, if everything met regulations, what do you conclude about how the ship sank?
The only plausible reason for the Fitzgerald to have sunk is a Lake Superior wave pattern known as the Three Sisters.
What did the Three Sisters do to the Fitzgerald?
The Three Sisters ultimately snapped the Fitzgerald in half.
And could you please explain what the Three Sisters are?
Of course. The Three Sisters is a very dangerous wave pattern characterized by the three waves that will converge on a vessel simultaneously.
Could you please explain how these three waves caused the ship to snap in half?
What happened is two very, very large waves boarded the Fitzgerald simultaneously. A few moments later, a third, even larger wave slammed into the side of the Fitzgerald before it had time to recover from the effects of the first two waves.
After these three waves hit the ship, what happened?
The Fitzgerald bottomed out on a downward slide. At the bottom of this slide, the front half of the Fitzgerald was completely underwater, and the resulting hydrostatic pressure caused a rupture in the Fitzgerald's very superstructure, which quite literally broke the ship in half. This all happened very quickly. There really wasn't any time to escape.
Why do you think that there was no time to escape, Dr. Peterson?
The crew of the Edmund Fitzgerald didn't even have time to send out an SOS message. Also, given the structure of the ship, it would have split apart very quickly.
Dr. Peterson, how can you be sure that the ship was split apart?
There was a study done on the bottom of the lake, and what they found matched my own conclusions. Two halves of a ship.
Would it have been possible for the Fitzgeralds to withstand this combination of three waves?
It's really not feasible that the Fitzgerald would be able to stand up to the Three Sisters anyway, from a structural standpoint.
Had any other ship of a similar structure encountered the same combination of waves, what would have happened?
Any other ship with a similar structure to the Fitzgerald also would have sank.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor.